This is a rare Ethiopian Orthodox Bible manuscript, handwritten in Ethiopia's sacred liturgical language.
800 years ago, an Ethiopian king ordered a new capital for Christians. On the central plateau of Ethiopia stand 11 churches.
For nearly 2,000 years, the story seemed settled. A silent, empty tomb, a final goodbye. But hidden deep within Ethiopia's ancient monasteries lies a sacred manuscript that doesn't just tell what happened after Jesus rose. It reveals a radical redefinition of divinity, the soul, and the nature of spiritual reality. These texts expose warnings about deceptive powers disguised as faith, secret teachings on inner awareness, and astonishing cosmic knowledge lost to the Western world for centuries. Could this long-guarded passage upend the foundations of Christianity and open a door to a hidden spiritual war? The hidden Ethiopian canon. For nearly 2,000 years, the Christian Bible has been seen as a fixed text of 66 books. However, in Ethiopia, monks have preserved a different scripture containing 81 books, including ancient texts excluded from Western versions. These books, such as Enoch, Jubilees, and Maccabees, were cherished by early believers before being removed from the mainstream canon. This expanded canon challenges traditional views of early Christianity. Recent scientific advances, such as radiocarbon dating of manuscripts like the Gara Gospels, confirm they were written between the 4th and 7th centuries AD, making them the oldest illustrated Christian texts. While Europe faced turmoil, Ethiopian monks safeguarded these early Christian writings, preserving Christianity's original source material. These preserved texts offer alternative theological perspectives, including ideas suppressed by later councils. For instance, the Book of Enoch describes the cosmic fall of 200 watcher angels who descended to earth and fathered giants, the Nephilim. This story reveals forbidden knowledge, such as weapon-making and astrology, which were deemed too dangerous for mainstream Christianity. Ethiopia kept these teachings alive, maintaining a worldview that recognizes the original biblical chaos as an ongoing spiritual reality. The story of resurrection in this biblical tradition explains how its resurrection accounts lead to different outcomes than traditional Western resurrection stories. The Ethiopian texts present a different resurrection account, which describes Jesus teaching secret knowledge during a 40-day period of extreme mystical experiences that followed his resurrection. The period establishes new definitions for God, the soul, and the human purpose. The Ethiopian Bible exists as a separate divine narrative line, which provides more complex and urgent spiritual content than the Western Bible permits. Westerners perceive this practice as a major divergence, which entails hidden religious texts stored in secretive monasteries. The Ethiopian canon has functioned as the foundation which determines Ethiopian faith practices and cultural expressions and national identity since ancient times. Their Bible is the main story because it serves as their primary text. The alternative canon explains how mainstream Christianity today struggles to understand key truths about resurrection and divinity and spiritual warfare. The decision by early Western councils to limit the canon cannot be separated from politics and control. The religious authorities of the time determined which texts to include and exclude, as they created a theological framework that controlled their spiritual beliefs while omitting teachings about personal empowerment and celestial battles. The 81 books which Ethiopia maintains demonstrate how this country has succeeded in maintaining its historical body of content against external attempts to control it. The Ethiopian canon presents an alternative worldview which shows people how they can directly connect with divine truth without needing institutional church approval. The living tradition maintains that the biblical story continues to develop as an ongoing mystery which remains unsolved. As we move beyond the canon itself, the deeper mystery lies in what these forgotten texts say about the resurrection and what changed in those transformative 40 days. Unveiling the hidden mystical teachings. Within the Ethiopian Bible lies a text known as Mashafarkan, or the Book of the Covenant, which transforms how the resurrection story is understood. Unlike the brief post-resurrection appearances found in Western Gospels, here Jesus remains for 40 days, not delivering sermons but instructing his disciples in hidden knowledge. During this period, he unfolds the secret architecture of reality, speaking about unseen forces, frequencies, and spiritual dimensions far beyond familiar teachings. It is a mystical, urgent message preparing followers for a spiritual war fought through awareness rather than armies. One of the most striking teachings in this text is a warning against organized religion as it would develop. Jesus instructs his disciples not to build temples of stone because the stone will crumble, but to build the temple within the heart, which is eternal. This literal command challenges centuries of religious traditions rooted in physical churches and hierarchies. He even foretells a future Rome that turns his symbol of salvation, the cross, into a weapon, foretelling historical abuses like the Crusades and Inquisitions. The Book of the Covenant introduces a dualistic view of the human soul almost in biological terms. Every person carries two winds, the wind of life and the wind of error. The wind of error acts like a parasite, entering through greed, wrongful sights, and speech, and once nested, it calcifies the heart. This condition turns humans into walking tombs, living bodies devoid of spiritual vitality. It paints a haunting picture of spiritual zombification, echoing urgent contemporary concerns about mass distraction and falsehood. Yet Jesus does not leave his disciples hopeless. He shares the antidote, gnosis, or knowledge. Self-awareness becomes a spiritual weapon. He teaches them to watch their thoughts as a guard watches a gate, and reveals that the kingdom of heaven exists literally within the body, in the silence between thoughts. This profound internal sovereignty undermines external authority structures, which perhaps explains why such teachings were deemed threatening and suppressed by empires and religious authorities. The text includes outstanding cosmological information which earlier scholars considered to be poetic symbols. The text describes snow storage areas and wind access points which modern meteorology recognizes as valid through its discovery of global wind patterns that determine weather conditions. The text describes a water abyss which exists beneath the earth, and recent scientific discoveries confirm the existence of large water deposits that remain buried deep within the Earth's mantle. The historical evidence creates unexpected trustworthiness for the Book of the Covenant's ancient writings. The tone during these 40 days is far from gentle. Jesus warns, "The darkness will come, and it will wear my face." The prophecy shows that total evil will present itself as Christianity, which uses Christ-like deception to destroy the Christian faith. The prediction shows that the spiritual battle will increase in intensity through institution-based threats, which believers consider secure. Jesus teaches a concealed method which uses breathing exercises and mental concentration to create a spiritual practice which follows Eastern meditation methods as its foundation. The connection between the two supports theories about Jesus' lost years, which he might have spent in India or Tibet, because those locations contained all these spiritual practices. The Ethiopian texts combine Christian and Eastern concepts through karma and reincarnation and energy centers, which create a hidden wisdom tradition that Eastern faith systems suppress. The resurrection becomes a vital force that brings forth enlightenment through the use of secret teachings. The program teaches people how to recognize their internal spiritual abilities beyond all falsehoods. The Book of the Covenant challenges believers to become mystics and warriors of consciousness, which proves a conflict existing between two facts that the Western Church tends to keep hidden. These profound teachings beg the question, if such knowledge was so crucial, where is the proof of its power? The answer lies deep within Ethiopia's sacred sites, which hold secrets beyond scripture. Ancient technologies and sacred architecture. Ethiopia's religious heritage does not rest solely on texts, but extends into remarkable architecture and artifacts, suggesting lost technological mastery intertwined with spiritual insight. Among the nation's greatest treasures is the Ark of the Covenant, believed by almost every Ethiopian to reside in the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum. Unlike multinational theories of its disappearance, Ethiopian tradition holds that Menelik I, son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, secretly brought the original Ark to Ethiopia, replacing it with a replica in Jerusalem. The Ark is more than a sacred object. Biblical descriptions portray it as a potent weapon, capable of unleashing fire and destroying armies. The modern mystery arises from reports about its guardian, one person at a time, who must live in lifelong service within the chapel. Observers note unsettling effects: cataracts, loss of sight, pallid skin, and premature death, suggesting a powerful energy emanating from the Ark beyond mere religious symbolism. This energy has led to theories that the Ark is an advanced ancient technology, perhaps a communication device or a source of high energy unknown to modern science. Its protective presence helped Ethiopia resist colonization, exemplified by the stunning victory over Italy at the Battle of Adwa in 1896. Local lore credits the Ark's supernatural influence for turning the tide, reinforcing its significance as a spiritual and tactical force. Beyond the Ark, Ethiopia's rock-hewn churches, especially those in Lalibela, demonstrate an extraordinary engineering achievement. Ordered carved from single solid volcanic rock around the 12th century, these 11 churches are architectural wonders featuring intricate windows, columns, drainage, and doorways sculpted with masterful precision. Modern engineering estimates that with hand tools alone, completing such work would require thousands of men for more than a century, and yet it was reportedly finished in only 24 years, with no significant debris remaining. Local legend holds that human workers labored by day, while angels continued the work by night, using tools of light that sliced through hard stone as if it were butter. Some theorists interpret these angels as symbolic references to lost technologies such as directed energy tools or acoustic levitation devices capable of softening stone. This suggests a union of spiritual symbolism and advanced ancient science unknown elsewhere. Among these remarkable sacred structures is the Church of St. George, a cross-shaped cathedral carved deep into the ground with near-perfect geometric lines and an advanced drainage system that has prevented flooding through centuries of rain. Below this complex, pitch-black tunnels lead worshippers through sensory deprivation chambers, reflecting teachings about descending through darkness to find light, a powerful architectural metaphor reinforcing Ethiopian mystical theology. Recent 3D scans have revealed hidden cavities beneath Lalibela's floors, possibly containing treasure, manuscripts, or ancient tools, still untouched for centuries. This adds another layer of mystery, drawing comparisons to the famous Egyptian pyramids, yet surpassing them in complexity due to the subtractive carving method and planning. The sacred architecture of Ethiopia thus serves as a tangible testament to a faith intimately connected with cosmic knowledge, spiritual insight, and potentially forgotten technologies. These monuments are more than places of worship. They are living relics of a civilization that preserved ancient wisdom, bridging science, spirituality, and history. As these revelations continue to unfold, the story of Ethiopia's sacred tradition hints at even deeper mysteries yet to be uncovered. Ethiopia's sacred royal bloodline. Ethiopia's spiritual tradition is profoundly rooted in its royal lineage, which traces directly back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. According to the Kebra Nagast, their son Menelik I inherited Solomon's throne and brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia. This lineage not only established Ethiopia's Solomonic dynasty, but also gave the nation a divine foundation, linking its rulers to biblical royalty in a way few other nations can claim. This royal bloodline is more than a point of pride. It legitimizes Ethiopia's unique religious identity. The last emperor, Haile Selassie, was regarded as the 225th descendant of this line and bore the title Conquering Lion of the Tribe of Judah. Although Selassie never claimed divinity, his ancestry tied sacred blood to political rule, intertwining biblical prophecy with Ethiopian nationhood. Genetic research has produced additional evidence for these statements because it has shown ancient DNA evidence which connects Ethiopians with people from the Levant, including current Israeli and Syrian populations. The evidence establishes that historic migrations occurred according to Ethiopian traditions, which also account for the unique blend of Jewish and Christian religious practices that exist in Ethiopia. The dietary laws, together with circumcision and Saturday Sabbath observance, demonstrate ancient tradition continuity because they establish Ethiopia as a protector of a Christian tradition that maintains strong ties to its Jewish origins. The Christian faith of Ethiopia existed before the Roman Empire altered Christian beliefs about Judaism according to Western countries, which viewed Christianity as a new religion that broke away from Judaism. Ethiopians viewed themselves as native community members who maintained a living tradition that combined elements from both the Old and New Testaments without requiring them to change their faith. The ongoing existence of this faith system creates obstacles for Western historical accounts, while it establishes a new definition for Christian belief. The ancient Ethiopian traditions, which exist in their original form, present a disputed hypothesis about Jesus. The group asserts that Jesus escaped from the cross and moved to Ethiopia, where he spent his life, using a different identity. The traditional story, which begins in Jerusalem, receives a new direction because of this development, which shows that early Christian beliefs started in Africa. Rastafarianism has worldwide reach because Ethiopia maintains its royal bloodline, which extends beyond its national boundaries. Rastafarians see Haile Selassie as the messianic figure who fulfills biblical prophecies which describe the Lion of Judah. His reign remains a source of inspiration for both political movements and spiritual awakenings. The sacred lineage of Ethiopia redefines Christian history because it challenges the accepted location of spiritual authority. Ethiopia maintained its native lineage and religious traditions because it remained free from colonial control, which enables people to discover lost knowledge about ancient times. The royal bloodline may hold the key to why Ethiopia's traditions diverge so sharply from Western Christianity, and why their manuscripts and sites continue to guard secrets beyond scripture. Prophecies and modern parallels. The Ethiopian texts not only preserve forgotten history, but also contain prophecies that resonate with today's global challenges. Jesus' warnings in the Book of the Covenant about false churches and deceptive powers feel increasingly relevant, as many institutions meant to guide faith fall into corruption and hypocrisy. The prophecy that ultimate evil would wear my face suggests a form of deception masquerading as true Christianity, reshaping how we view religious and social authority today. This prophecy connects with traditional Antichrist theories, but with a twist. The threat is not a monstrous figure, but a distortion embedded within trusted institutions. The spiritual battle, it suggests, has quietly unfolded within the very structures designed to protect truth, making deception harder to detect. This warns us to focus on spiritual vigilance, self-knowledge, and critical discernment, rather than blind faith. The texts also speak of an age of webs of illusion, which closely mirrors our hyper-connected digital reality. The original language describes a world where communication is pervasive but hollow. People speak without mouths and see without eyes, a metaphor for the internet and social media's paradox of connection and isolation, truth and misinformation. It suggests that the text anticipated the technological and social challenges we face today. Ethiopian monks preserved these teachings as a break-glass manual for when humanity is lost in false realities. This moment is growing urgent as trust in governments, media, and religions collapses. People now seek meaning and direct access to knowledge beyond institutional gatekeepers. The resurfacing of these texts is timely. Unauthorized translations and digital sharing have spread these radical ideas globally, bypassing traditional control. This accessibility fuels a spiritual hunger and validates the intuition that the familiar narrative is incomplete or manipulated for control. The texts serve as a catalyst for widespread questioning and a thirst for deeper truth. The manuscripts describe humans as powerful beings in a cosmic war involving fallen entities known as Watchers. These beings distorted humanity's origins and introduced forbidden knowledge. By removing these books from the Western Bible, empires and churches disarmed believers, stripping them of protective spiritual knowledge. Ethiopia's refusal to comply preserved this armor. Additionally, some passages resemble lost physics manuals, referencing phenomena like acoustic levitation, sound frequencies used to manipulate matter. The precision of Ethiopia's rock-hewn churches hints at ancient technologies used in sacred spaces. This fusion of spiritual teaching and advanced knowledge suggests a deeper connection between science and spirituality. These prophecies and discoveries urge us to reevaluate early Christianity's message and its role in empowering humanity, challenging us to awaken to hidden truths that are vital for navigating the present. The emergence of these truths sets the stage for confronting the broader spiritual awakening the Ethiopian tradition has long awaited. The emerging revelation and its meaning. After centuries of concealment, ancient Ethiopian texts are finally reaching a global audience, sparking a spiritual awakening that challenges established religious narratives. Their emergence feels less like coincidence and more like a purposeful unveiling, timed for a world filled with confusion and disillusionment. These texts speak to a society drowning in misinformation and spiritual emptiness, offering a path to rediscover inner wisdom and a direct connection to the divine. The revelation encourages us to view faith not as passive belief, but as active awareness and transformation. The teachings of the Book of the Covenant call us to look inward for power and truth, contrasting with the external ritualism and control of traditional religions. It invites a return to a personal, intimate spirituality grounded in knowledge, gnosis, that transcends dogma. The cultural trend of authenticity and direct experience manifests itself through the timing of these translations and their distribution in digital formats. People now seek direct knowledge, which they can trust because institutional credibility has declined. The Ethiopian texts function as a guiding light which helps people who desire to understand their life purpose better. The spiritual awakening movement faces strong resistance from its opponents. The prophecy of darkness, wearing my face, warns that falsehoods can masquerade as truth, making discernment vital. The texts show that mental protection and breath control practices operate as spiritual defenses, which protect people from deceptive appearances. The texts provide ancient scientific and technological knowledge together with their spiritual renewal, which shows that humanity possesses the power to change real-world existence. Rediscovering this wisdom can create a new approach to solve current problems by combining scientific knowledge with spiritual understanding. The revelations force us to achieve actual awakening, which requires us to progress beyond basic faith while using our inherent abilities to create our desired world. The teachings remind us that some knowledge is transformative, and now it calls for a generation ready to listen. The Ethiopian resurrection passage tears through centuries of silence to reveal a radical vision of faith, power, and inner truth. It invites us to awaken from illusion and reclaim a deeply personal spirituality rooted in knowledge and awareness. If this journey into hidden wisdom sparked your curiosity, please like and subscribe to uncover more truths that lie beneath the surface. And don't forget to watch the next video on the screen to continue this path of discovery.